evening, everyone. Welcome in to episode number 20 of the Fuzed Relativity podcast. We got Chris here, your name here. How's it going this week?
It's going good, other than the new music. But I figured since it's our 20th episode, 20th podcast, I would start offering people the opportunity to sponsor. If you wanna, you can pay us some money and we can put your name in there. So, just trying to a little expanding of the Fused Relativity podcast. So if you want to sponsor us, we can put your name, whatever it is. Just keep it classy.
Huh.
Kirk sells out his name.
Yeah, already. Episode 20, and he's selling out.
It took 20. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I figured get a following, and then they'll be clamoring, they'll be salivating to be connected to this podcast, or not. We'll see.
or not. I will actually pay anybody who demeans Kirk with their, you know.
Okay, let me just stipulate that anybody on the podcast can't pay to insult Kirk. That's the only rule.
Well,
Other than that, fair game.
That was it. Chris was just gonna pay to pick you in the name and then just pay himself back.
That's right.
You know what? But he whatever insult Chris was going to say, he wouldn't be able to spell it correctly, so nobody would be able to tell what he was trying to say anyway. So I'll do that. I'll take that. It'll just be a bunch of mashes of keys.
But I would know. So
you would know what you were trying to say. Okay, so it makes sense to you and nobody else.
Yep. Win-win. And D Infinity. John, how are you doing this week?
I'm going.
Working
on new stuff. Getting motivation back, so always a positive.
Nice. Oh, but before we jump in, like, can I just comment? We had new intro music that Chris and I we jammed on and created this last weekend. Oh, and by the way, your daughter is very cute. I'll be honest. Every once in a while having a kid seems like a good idea, and that was one of the cases. Like, she like took me by my finger and like dragged me over to show me something, and then I got home. I'm like, that was sweet. And then I realized, hey, my ring and watch are gone. So I'm not saying Delilah, your 2.5-year-old, is a flim-flam grifter, but she may be going in that direction. Okay, I mean, I got ice cream from her. She charged me $18, and then she asked for a receipt, and I said no. And then she gave me an Olive Garden gift card, but then she took it back. So I think she's going to be a business owner, that one.
Yep, I've been teaching her that, so she's picking it up like a sponge.
Good, you're doing a good job. But yeah, I'm so just, if you see the ring around, just give it back to me. That's all I'm saying. Before she pawns it.
I already pawned it.
She's so quick. See, I'm telling you, she's gonna have like a pinstripe suit and a toothpick, and she's already got a scam going on. She's good.
With pigtails, so you can't argue.
Yeah. You never see it coming. She's too sweet. No one's, all of a sudden, oh my God, she just swiped $40,000 from me. How did she do that? She was cute.
It was funny when you said that. I was actually going to bring it up as, we did create new intro music that John was nice enough to get loaded up for the show. Funny story, we were supposed to live stream the creation of the said me and Kirk got so into making the music that we totally forgot to stream it. So that was cool.
Right. So look, technology isn't our bag, but eventually, you know what? It's the music. Enjoy the music, and then maybe we'll put a box set together. How about that? that'll be that's our level of technology. A box set. Streaming is a little fancy for us.
And just out of curiosity, John, did you by chance see the title of our album?
I did not.
The title of our first album is called "What Is a Tinkercat?"
I got a litter box ready to go. That's all I know. I still don't think it's right.
It's not.
Okay, I didn't think so. I got 9 lives to figure it out, so that's good.
Yeah, you'll get there one day.
Maybe in episode 40. Stay tuned, folks. You got to tease him. Will Kirk ever understand Tinkercat? Stay tuned. You gotta, read the book or listen to the podcast.
Well, last week we talked about the space hop that Branson was going to take, and he successfully made his flight. And I mean, John, I'm going to be real honest. I got to say, I don't think he really went to space.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
technically, by the U.S. standards, he did.
He was floating.
Yes.
but it's like driving to the beach and saying you went into the ocean. It just, yeah, technically you're there, but you didn't actually go in. So I don't know. It
But
just,
I mean, in fairness, Blue Origin's been doing the same thing about their little hops that they do. They're like, oh yeah, we went to space, and they're doing the same thing. They're just a little higher up.
which I mean, granted, they're still really, really high, and it's cool in its own right that they're making these treks, but I don't know. It was a little lackluster for me. Uh, I know they did float for a few minutes with weightlessness, but in the long run, it's a suborbital
And
adventure.
their live stream was not that great. I mean,
Oh,
some of the stuff afterwards was nice, but yeah, I watched the whole thing, and the fact that it cut out so many times.
and what was that thing you sent me? Something about space is now virgin territory.
Oh yeah, that was the announcer on the live stream was like, space is now virgin territory. I was just like, what?
Um,
Space has been explored. There's been, yeah, that's
I
bad analogy. That's bad.
well
That's bad.
well
Bad
it's
wording.
there's
it's because it's Virgin Galactic, and they were like, oh,
no,
space is now virgin territory, and it's like, I no.
and
No, yeah, there's
of
been satellites. There's space is a dirty whore. No.
every every rocket that has ever gone up is phallic in nature. So I'm pretty sure space has no virginity left.
Right. If space was getting married, it couldn't wear white. If it was, everybody would giggle and snicker like,
Anyway, yeah, I figured that would be we could get a little riff on that just because come on, you really thought that that was good a good
Yeah,
line to throw out there.
well,
I
how long was it? Because I saw like I think I saw the Bezos flight is supposed to be about like 11 minutes. So how long was this? Was this shorter?
uh
I I think they were I don't think it was 11 minutes because they were
well,
only in weightlessness for like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, something like that. So
but they count the flight from launch to landing. So Blue Origin, I'm assuming their time frame is from launch to landing. And I remember because I was watching the NSF feed of it, and they were just shy of, what was it, the first suborbital hop, or not hop, but manned launch.
so they
Bezos is going to have somebody auctioned he bought a ticket and it was basically he spent 28 million dollars to be on Bezos's upcoming flight, and they broke it down and essentially it's 2.54 million dollars a minute or $42,424 a second that breaks down to. And I was just it blows me away that somebody will spend 40, like that's a annual salary for a lot of people, and that's going to go through it in a second.
one that's the whole argument about the space tourism thing. Is it ever going to be cheap enough to where normal people can just go up in a flight?
See, I don't
Yes.
think so. I disagree. I think only 30, I swear it's only 35% of people actually have a passport. So the majority of people don't have the money or the desire to leave the country. So I don't see people having the money or desire to leave the planet.
But yes, you're right. But what if it was a suborbital flight to, let's say, LA to Europe that took 30 minutes?
Unless you bring the price down, I just think people are not like they're working 2 3 jobs, they can't take off the time and they don't have the money, and unless the price comes so far down, I think it's just this is going to be uh something the super rich do. It's once again another activity that only super wealthy people can afford, and everybody else just has to kind of go, oh, that would be nice.
See, but I could see SpaceX doing it for at a loss just for the publicity and doing it at around $1,000 a ticket, especially if they get it up to 100 people on. Yeah, if they were able to get 100 people onto a Starship, I could see them doing it for about $1,000 a ticket. I mean, it would be at a loss, but still.
And they would be, I mean, at $1,000 a ticket, you would have plenty of people who would, jump
Do it.
jump at the, yeah, just for the thrill and the idea. Oh, I'm going to space.
Well, and especially if it was $1,000, you know, trip to Europe, because that's the one of the goals of SpaceX is to see if they can use Starship as a um, commercial airliner of sorts.
I think you maybe you're being more optimistic than I like. People don't even want to leave their house to go to the store. So to leave their house to go to space to go to Europe for $1,000,
Yeah,
I
but
honestly don't. I think people are becoming too sedentary and too agoraphobic, and I think your love of space is far greater than the average person's.
But we're
well,
talking about a scenario where people have the ability to. They most like if you looked at how many people would have if they auctioned off a free seat, and said, join our raffle to get a free seat on the Blue Origin flight. I bet you would have millions of people signing up for that raffle.
they already did.
Hmm.
They raffled off a seat for a Dragon launch.
Right, well, it's a charity or like a giveaway, yes, but I don't think people have enough money to do it.
Well,
But
and
so
then
that could be
that's
it's a charity thing, it's a giveaway. Yes, look at how pleasant our billionaires are being by allowing the commoners to come share our space experience with us, is what it seems like it's to me.
Well, the
well,
whole idea, Kirk, is that eventually the price is going to be low enough. Like $1,000 for a person is a trip to Disneyland,
well,
for a couple days. So
and
you figure
not only
if you
that, it's also about the average cost. Well, not the average cost, but like a peak time cost to a trip to another country. Period.
granted you're getting a lot more out of the trip, if you're going to another country or to Disneyland, whichever, but the idea would be that people would do it just because they're like, hey, I'm not going on vacation this year. I'm going to go to space for 4 minutes. Just to say they did it.
Well, yeah, but okay. I know this is kind of fits into our topic that we're going to talk about today, but to help kind of Kirk understand. So SpaceX, their first orbital launch of the Starship is going to take off from Boca Chica, do almost a complete orbit, and land by Hawaii. And it should take about the Starship should be in orbit for about 40 minutes. Now, if they were to offer the same flight and say, as a commercial thing, and said, hey, if you're already going to Hawaii for vacation, we can get you there in 40 minutes, plus you get to go to space.
It's like a combo package. You get Hawaii and space on the way there faster than just a normal
Yeah.
5-hour
Well,
flight or whatever it is.
I wouldn't say it's faster because you still have to, load, launch, all that stuff.
It's not cut and dry 40 minutes. I mean, you're talking about hours, but.
So I just looked this up, and granted, obviously prices would change, yada, yada, yada. So it's a 7-hour flight from Denver to Hawaii, and it's about $700. So if SpaceX got it to the point where you could go go to Boca Chica, take off from Texas, land in Hawaii on a rocket for an extra $300, you don't think the vast majority of people that are vacationing wouldn't do it just for that experience?
Doesn't a rocket, doesn't that, I assume that would increase the danger aspect of it. It seems like a lot more could go wrong. So it's like you're throwing in a lot of extra danger. It just seems like a luxury thing. I don't know. To be honest, I wouldn't. I'll be honest. No.
And you're not wrong about the increased danger, but that's why they're designing the Starships, and that's why Falcon 9 was designed for reusability. Like, yeah, it's not going to get anywhere near the flight hours of a 747 or anything like that, but you're still going to have a decent amount of reusability per rocket.
Just the air travel, like, you guys have kids. Imagine going on like a crying baby on an airplane. I imagine is 10 times worse when you're going so much higher, so much faster in a rocket. So just the comfortable experience, I think, would lessen. Like, it's just like, okay, this is, the cost is too much, the risk is too much, and it seems like it just makes things way too complicated.
I would assume they would not allow probably even anyone under,
So nobody with families would do this. No, so it's just single random people would do this.
I think it just depends on, like, look at so there was a story today about Virgin Galactic. Ashton Kutcher actually had a ticket that he bought for the Virgin Galactic flight, and he had to auction it off, not because he didn't want to go, but basically his wife said, are you stupid? No, you're not going to space. And so
it's too unsafe. Yeah, I need you to keep making money to support the family, so you can't go do that.
Right. So, but do you think, I'm just assuming, even though they have kids, if they were both on board, I would have to think they both would have bought tickets and gone up, because he was already ready to do it even without, he's a family guy. He's still trying to, I'm just going to go up to space.
Well, so that's the thing with Virgin Galactic, though. Virgin Galactic has a lot of fail-safes. It's essentially a plane. So the only devastating thing that could potentially happen to Virgin Galactic is if somehow something happened to the rocket and the plane exploded.
That would be bad. That's
generally.
But see, every other thing, like, oh, the rocket didn't start. Well, now you're just going to glide back to ground. Oh, something happened midway through and we had to shut off the rockets. Well, now you're just going to glide back to... It's a plane. It's designed to glide. So it's able to fly back to the landing strip regardless of the situation that happens. Whereas with you have Starship or New Glenn, they're traditional rockets, or even Dragon. They're traditional rockets, so they don't exactly have that failsafe. So in terms of safety, I would think Virgin Galactic's is probably the safest you can do, equivalent to that of a plane.
Well, it'll certainly be interesting to see. Bezos is going up on Tuesday, taking up the New Shepard to see.
Is it Shepard or Glenn?
Shepard is
Okay, so
the
Glenn's the big one.
Shepard's the one they're taking out to start with, and then so he's going up on Tuesday. We will see how that one goes. It'll be interesting to watch it. I'm sure it'll go off without a hitch, much like Branson's did. But
Yeah,
I was gonna talk real quick, John. I know I'm cutting you off once again, which I've been doing lately because, as you mentioned, we've been getting into a pretty good groove, and it's kind of getting hard to keep these shows under, hour and 15, 20 minutes. So sometimes I got to push us along a little bit. Uh, but
So where are we going now? Yeah, what are we doing?
I just wanted to throw out there that the Hubble telescope was successfully transferred to the backup computer, and everything is back online.
so it's got about another 30 years left till it's dead again.
Correct, but the fact that they were able to successfully transfer the computer, that is very cool, and maybe within the next 30 years they'll be able to figure out how to fix it, maybe
Well,
with a Starship.
It was the power supply. The power supply was what caused the problem.
I heard, and it's going to continue. It was 31 years, is what so it's going to continue on 31 years of helping science. And when reached for comment, the Hubble telescope said, "I'm getting too old for this shit." So it's ready to retire, but it's going to keep going.
I mean, that is crazy that thing's been up there for nearly as long as all of us have been alive.
Yep. I'd hate to see it go, even though it's it's a quiet. It doesn't get a lot of glory because you don't ever really see it. But maybe in the next 30 years, the Starship will be able to go up and actually work on it. Like the shuttle did.
And I like how it's basically like once they got the power figured out, like they said they're going to give it a little there's going to be a little mini pause, like a little mini break before it starts doing more scientific observations. And I just like how scientists are treating the Hubble sort of like any 31-year-old or 31 employee who's been there for 31 years. They're like, look, we just switched computer systems. We're going to need to give this thing time to look. If we give it a task, it's going to just freak out. So just let it get used to it, and then we'll start giving it tasks to do again. I kind of like that. It seems like it's making like the Hubble like a person.
See, it's all they robots have feelings too.
Yeah, look, he's gonna have to take a nap. Like, let him nap. He's got a new computer system to figure out, and then he'll be bright as rain. But just give him some time.
The other thing I was going to bring up too, John, is we haven't talked about this very much lately because we've been so focused on space, but I printed in PETG for the first time this last week, and it is my new favorite filament. That stuff rocks.
Yeah, I quite like it. Granted, I haven't printed much in it, but still.
The first project that I did was built a couple caps for my father-in-law's pontoon boat. There was some bunk boards that needed to be covered, and so I printed some caps, and I used the PETG because it's better for being outside. And then I printed another cap for a piece of metal that wasps like to create their home in, and so far so good. Like I like the strength of it. It seems fairly resilient. The only problem I had was I had to crank up my settings on my heat bed and my extruder, but other than that, it was because it honestly, like, I had to go all the way up to 80 Celsius for the heat bed just to make it stick.
Yeah. it can be a bit tougher to print with. But yeah, it like you said, it does very very well with temperature or resistance and stuff, especially outdoors.
The only thing I'm really seeing so far that, is just something that I'll have to tweak is I'm getting a little warping. Do you have any idea where that would come from?
Possibly, it's not staying hot enough. So you don't have an enclosure for your 3D printer, correct?
Correct.
So I know a lot of people, and I'm sure you've seen it back when ABS was kind of the king of 3D printing. Almost everyone had an enclosed 3D printer. And that wasn't for sound or anything, that was to keep the temperature in.
Am I picturing sort of like a back in the day, like sort of like a record player, where that kind of that plastic thing you just put over it, like that,
Yeah.
sort of
Well,
like
Yeah,
something like that?
exactly. Yes.
kind of, yeah. You're just keeping it in a plastic box or something to keep the heat in.
Okay, so keep the temperature, the right temperature, so it doesn't warp or
Yeah,
like
because
Chris is running into.
like even if the bed is 80 degrees Celsius and the room's what, trying to think of how, like 28 degrees Celsius, I think that's room temperature because
Like that, yeah.
um you've got that
What-
50-degree difference. Just
So I
above
want
the heat bed is gonna be a whole lot colder than the heat bed itself.
I
So
might try before I enclose it. I saw in Kira that I can turn off my fan, my cooling fan. Maybe I'll try that and see if that
well,
changes it.
that's going to, it might, but the problem you're going to run into is you're not going to cool down the plastic as it's coming out.
Oh, I see. Well, that might not. Yeah, I don't.
Because
I just
that's,
end up with a bunch of liquid plastic on the thing.
well, I mean, it would still probably work, but that cooling fan is really critical for bridging and overhangs and stuff like that. Because if it comes out too hot and it doesn't cool fast enough, it's going to, you're not going to get decent overhangs and you're not going to be able to bridge and all of that.
Well, if you cool it too much, because you could possibly bust the cap, and then you'd bust a cap in somebody's ass. That you always got to be worried about that.
Yes, always.
See, fine. That was the first time you agreed with me in 25. That was good. We're finally on the same scientific page. I'm glad I wore you down. Where you're like, yeah, okay, yes, okay, yes, you can bust a cap in someone's ass. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Accepted. Anyway, so I started printing with it. It goes down like butter. I really like it. It sticks well once you figure out the temp settings on it. And uh, I mean, it's gonna take some tweaking because honestly, like my seams on some of the things I printed were a little more prevalent, and there was a lot of like pitting inside of it. So,
And
you know,
that could just be your extruder too.
right. Which I thought about just changing out the uh, the nozzle and seeing if maybe that had something to do with it.
Well,
But
you have a Bowden system on your printer, which
yeah,
is you push the plastic into a fill or tube, and that tube gets fed to the hot end, which I haven't seen anything about it being detrimental for harder plastics because it shouldn't. It's more problematic with flexible stuff like TPU. But
PETG is softer to the touch, so I mean it could be something of that nature.
yeah, it might be where it's just binding up in the tube a little bit or not. I mean, I'm assuming you're running your nozzle a little bit hotter as well, right?
Yeah, I cranked it all the way up to 240.
Yeah.
So comparatively to the 200 that I print with PLA, 240
Well,
is pretty hot.
and your Anycubic, does it go to 300 or is it capped at like 250?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, but
Well, you have to let us know so is it you said it warped a little bit. Is it still, you think it'll still work for your father-in-law's was it RV or boat?
he actually said that it popped in there like butter. It just went right in. He had to tap the edges a little bit, and boom,
So
perfect cap.
hopefully the wasp won't come back. Maybe, you know what, if you took the listing off of Wasp Zillow, that might help. I would recommend that. Start there first, and take down the sign that says now showing new mod, because the housing market is crazy even for wasps.
Well, and the thing is like most people, okay, you got a wasp nest in your boat. That's cool. Uh,
No, it's
I,
not cool. It's
dude,
not.
but for me, it's even worse because I'm like, I don't know, I'm a baby when it comes to wasps. I hate them. So
Well, they hurt. Wasp hurt.
they do. And I mean, honestly, I can't, like, if I see a wasp, I walk the other direction. Like, it's like a phobia of mine. So,
I'm sure the feeling is mutual with the wasp go the other way too, just because of the smell. So it's a mutual thing.
if only it were that easy, because they seem to want to pick on me all the time because I think they smell it. They're just like, "Ooh, that guy doesn't like me. I'm gonna go mess with him."
So they smell the fear over your normal smell of stink is what that's what they're smelling.
Yes.
Okay.
So, anyway, I hate bees, and whatever I can do to keep the bees away from the boat so that I'll actually ride on the boat, it's important to me. So, that's where I was at. Got it all. And thanks to John's advice on Tinkercad, I have now the ability to do that. And quite frankly, John, I think you'd be a little proud. I went to download something off of Thingiverse today, and I got a little bummed and went on Tinkercad and designed it myself instead.
Well, there you go. I've got the project I'm working on, I've got to completely design. Um, it's going to be on our newly acquired channel.
There you go.
A
And
new channel? Where's our new channel?
oh, it's my wife's channel.
Okay.
She's rebranding, but it's going to be probably our first video after we get everything switched over. We're still going to do a podcast at some point. The two of us. It's just we have to figure out the timing.
Well, that'll be cool. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with because she's crazy good at crafts, and well,
I'm crazy.
yeah, you're a little crazy. So it should be an interesting watch, that's for sure. So we spent this last couple minutes talking about technology, and I think that's what we're going to talk about tonight as our main lengthy topic that we're going to cover. And I was thinking about the other day, and you have all this technology surrounding you these days: TVs, computers, 3D printers. We're talking about rockets sending people to the moon. And it kind of dawned on me and hit me. It's 100 years ago, which was 1920s. It's amazing to think how little technology they had back then compared to the technology we had when we were growing up, the three of us, compared to where we're at now and where we might be 20 years from now.
I agree. I was gonna say to bring in the 1920 aspect of it. We're only here because what would it be? Our great grandmother. You know the story I'm thinking of with the keeping alive on the house's wood burning heater.
I don't.
So our grandmother was born premature, and I don't remember exactly how, but the story I remember being told was that they kept her alive on a maybe it wasn't a heater, maybe it was a stove. Um,
Yeah, I'm
but
guessing a wood burning stove of some
yeah,
sort. I'm
in a
guessing.
shoebox, because back then being born premature was almost a death sentence. Like now, it's not even an issue. Like our I'm going to say the wrong thing because I always get this confused. Cousin? Not cousin. Nephew?
Niece.
Niece. Yeah, our niece was premature. My wife was born premature.
But they have
Um,
incubators and technology, and
yeah,
yeah, it's not a big thing. The childhood diseases are definitely kids survive a lot better than they used to, for sure.
and
Just thinking about, granted you're talking about bigger world technologies like, incubators were probably really huge when they first came out. But what about the modern television when it first came out? You hear the stories about the having to get up to change the dials, and there was only one channel, and not
we.
everybody not everybody could afford one.
What do you mean stories? We had a TV like that.
Well, yes, but I'm saying everybody had those kinds of TVs back then because that's all that existed. And then the tube, the transistors and tubes started coming out, and all of a sudden TVs became a little more advanced. And then what really got me thinking was in the 90s, I don't know if Kirk, you remember this. I'm sure John does, but you remember those 27-inch black like box TVs that everybody had in their homes? That was like the huge thing. Like that was the TV that everybody had. And it was kind of like you either had that or you had a projection like big screen TV.
Right. The blue and the green and the red big circles. Yeah,
Right.
those guys. Yep.
Yep. And so you kind of have like uh these weird pauses because all that technology that transformed from 1920 to like 1990, and I'm just looking at TVs because that's what really sparked my imagination on this topic, and we can get off TVs, but uh that black box 27-inch TV was like the standard for 15, 20 years before flat screens actually, started making a leap into technology.
Now everybody has the big plasma screens on their mounted on their wall, and that's like par for that's sort of
No,
the equivalent now. Like you have to have that giant 57 whatever screen smart TV.
not even plasma. Plasma is the old school. It's LED and OLED.
Yeah, Kirk, plasma has been around for years.
Whatever. Music is like to me. I like music, so to me, like just I remember uh, uh, sort of vaguely having a couple records, and then there was the move to cassettes and like having a Walkman that you could listen to in the car, and then like it could be the portable CD players that would skip and didn't work too well. Just the amount of music that you can now listen to in your phone or on your computer. That's the part that blows me away. Just the amount of music where it's like it was a cassette. You know what I mean? That's all you had, and then just now it's I don't know.
Even before that, like in my living room, I have a Victrola, cabinet Victrola, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a record player essentially, but you have to hand crank it and it runs, you put your needle on the record to play it, and you have to replace the needle after like two records.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, like literally, you have a container, a cutout in the cabinet that's for your used needles, and then you have a cutout for your new needles because you had to replace them all the time because the second they get dull, they don't pick up the record, the vibrations anymore. And so, like thinking about that compared to even a CD or a cassette player, music definitely went a long way.
Because
Yeah.
albums that they would used to make a whole album and you could listen to the whole thing And now with the technology, you can just skip, and it's like I remember I took some like teenagers like on this road trip to show them some when I lived in Arizona, like to show them Sedona. They're from Florida. They hadn't seen Sedona. It's beautiful and it snowed, and they're from Florida. They never seen snow before. They lost their minds. But I was just playing music for them, and they couldn't listen to a song for more than like a minute 30, and it was driving me bonkers. It was like annoying. I'm like, this is good music. Stop skipping. Listen to the whole damn song. It's 4 minutes, and they couldn't do it.
There's, and that's just a different generation, but it kind of leads into the idea, my kids and John's kids and that era of children, they don't know any different. They just have MP3 and
Well, it's
calculators in their phone and video games and look at the first video game, Pong. Who's playing Pong anymore? Nobody, because you got Fortnite and Call of Duty and Madden and these super.
eh,
Okay, some people play Pong. I'll give you that, John, but that's not the point. You understand what I'm saying? Is that video games have come. Look at Pong to Call of Duty. That's an insane leap, and we're only talking what 25 years
well,
ish.
I mean, you could say the same thing about any technology because everything's seen a dramatic leap. And I didn't want to cut you guys off, but I don't know if you remember, Chris, but we used to have an 8-track as well. I don't remember what car it was in, but we had 8-track.
That wouldn't surprise me. I don't
But
remember it, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't remember 8-track, but and actually, when Pong came out, it was rated NC-17. You guys didn't know that, did you?
we did
uh,
not.
I've heard that.
It was corrupting the youth. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
the kids just want to start playing ping pong, and they won't focus on anything. Their studies, it's all about the ping pong. Or I
But I
made that
mean,
up.
yeah, I mean, it could be. Yeah.
No, it's not.
He's like, I totally made it up. John, you're a sucker.
Well, yeah, in fairness.
They're
And I
too
was
worried
like,
about they're worried about the communists. They weren't worried about the kids playing the pong yet. They had nuclear explosions on their minds, so they could let the kids play pong. It was okay.
but yeah. I was just
But
say that what I was gonna tie into was also not videos, movies. Look at the animation difference. Like you went from practical effects to bad CGI to now anyone that has a computer can potentially make their own movies.
well, and that's a good point because I don't know the last time you watched a VHS tape, but mine is more recent than not, and oh, it was so terrible. Like,
So you still have a VCR?
yes,
Okay,
He still
but
has a CRTV.
the quality was annoying you because you were now accustomed to the fancier technology. So going back, you're like, oh wow, how did? But it's funny because when you used to watch it, that was the norm. But now going back, you're like, oh man, this looks so archaic. Like Air Force One, the Harrison Ford president movie when he's in the plane, like watching the plane fall into the ocean now. The graphics are horrible, but when it happened in a theater back in the thing, people were losing their minds.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so amazing, and Hollywood hasn't really caught up that much compared to the rest of the world. Like, they're still filming in 60 frames per second or 30
Ye-
frames, whatever it is. And they're not trying to change too much, but the TVs are the what's really giving us the perspective.
Yeah, but have you seen some of the I can kind of, and I'm not one to be like a videophile and all of that stuff, but when TV went to like full HD, it just looked like Uncanny Valley. It was just so off-putting compared to, say, movies or anything like that.
Well, I'm assuming you're talking about like the soap opera effect where it made you
Yeah,
look
yeah. But that was, I mean, soap operas were the first to kind of go into that foray. But it just had that weird, like, it's just
No,
weird.
yeah, you feel a little bit. It feels less like a movie and more like you're watching something through a camera. Like it's real. It's just it's a different way. It kind of change your perspective, and you don't. Honestly, sometimes it feels like you don't get as lost in it because you're not. You're watching. It's different than what you're used to. Where before you're just watching a movie, it's a movie, but you can get lost in it. When it starts to get a little real, it changes it.
It just looks fucking weird.
Well, yeah. And then, like when I bought my new TV, I felt that way for a little while, and then now it just all looks normal to me. So
I
I
mean,
think your eyes kind of get used to it.
yeah, there is that.
Um, but then you look at I mean, think about. So we'll take flat screen TVs. Like I said, I'm stuck on TVs because honestly, I love TVs. If I could buy a new TV every month, I would. I
Really?
don't know.
Come on. You would just be learning the remote, and then you'd have to get in. I know that's too short. A year,
Well,
okay.
I can see what he's saying though, because every time new technology comes out, you kind of want to try it. I was the same way when it came to phones when um, smartphones became a thing. Because I had the first flagship Android phone. And for the first 5-6 years, I was constantly upgrading my phone as soon as I could. Because I wanted to try out the newest, greatest, and all that.
All right, so I think you're technology junkie. I think there's a certain part where it's keeping up with I got to get the beta. To me,
Well,
I have an iPhone 8, and I like it because it's the right size. It's not a giant thing that rips my pocket because it's like a mini laptop or something. Like just give me. I want something that functions and I know works. I don't want the fanciest bells and whistles that I have to figure out, and it can do a million things that I don't understand. Is anybody? I know there's other people like me who
well,
are under 80.
but
John,
it's funny you bring up mini laptop because my phone is technically a mini laptop.
It's so big. It doesn't. You know what I mean?
that's what she
You have
said.
to. Come on, like it's breaking your pockets. It's no longer anywhere close to a phone. You have a mini laptop in your pocket.
Well, and Chris, you've seen mine, right? The two screen phone.
You
Seen
have
that
picture
one.
in the picture. What do you got?
Well,
That's
no, it's an LG phone. So you know how the foldable phones were all the big thing. LG, before they stopped doing smartphones, had a case that you could put your phone in that extended the display to a second screen. So kind of like a laptop.
almost like a magnifying glass just to make
No,
it
no.
bigger.
No, it's like if if you ran two monitors right next to each other, same concept.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I can have two different things going at once, which, situationally is good. Like if I'm doing something and need to research, I can continue doing what I'm doing while also researching, which is, how I use my two monitors at home. But it wasn't to get back. This wasn't, I'm going to buy it as soon as it gets out. Hell no. I waited till it was on discount and bought it.
Right. At a certain point, like, and what this may be the old fart in me, but like at a certain point, if I need something where I need two computer monitors, I'll wait till I get home. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to have two computer like sitting on the light rail or driving in my car or something. I can, I can detach from technology long enough to go, anything fancy I need, I can wait till I get to a computer. And I don't think people have that attention span anymore. I don't think people think that way.
It's nice
Well,
that you took over the get off my lawn segment for the week. That was nice of you.
Oh, I can curmudgeon it up with the best of them. Yeah.
well, and see, I disagree with that though, because even like using two monitors at the same time is still a niche mindset. Like, most people do not have 2 monitors. It's becoming more popular, especially in like workplace settings where
I think people working from home. I think it's getting more common because like I am not a computer guy, technology guy at all, and I had a office job that turned into a work from home job, and I had 2 monitors, and it was
well, and
kind of
that's
annoying.
what I'm saying. It's becoming more commonplace
Work,
in
when
work.
work.
But as far as, personal life, like, well, in fairness, my daughter, my youngest, has 2 monitors, but that's only because every time I would go to work, she'd go to my computer because she wanted to play games and watch stuff at the same time, or not so much watch, but be able to listen to and look over and see stuff at the same time.
Well, and computers, that's one thing. Like 2 monitor systems, that's uh technology wise, that's not as impressive because you're just linking 2 screens together. But the um what I'm looking at is, I have a TV, a 65-inch LED smart TV, which the picture is amazing. I like it, it works fine. But I can't wait to see in 20 years what TVs look like hanging up on a wall. Or are they like projections that, like I have a projector as well, but
Ooh
is
la la.
everything.
I was going the other one. I don't know where I was going with that. I went
Yeah,
sexy route and not.
yeah, yeah.
Well, and all this technology, and then it's going to be just shitty reality shows that suck. You know what I mean? Like all of this thing for crap.
Eh,
Just like I haven't had cable in 7 and like 8 years probably, just because I don't want to spend 80. Like, oh, we can bundle all together, and we can give you for $120. We can give you 500 channels of shit that you're only going to watch 4 of.
Hey, but Kirk, what if you want to watch the opening animation to the Fused Relativity podcast on a 120-inch screen?
it would look like crap.
Wow.
But
Wait, whose side were you arguing there? I got lost there. Wait, I so it would be bigger, but it would be pixelated, and it wouldn't look as crystal clear because the size.
Well,
yeah, and
yeah.
I didn't put a ton of detail into the resolution and everything.
Projectors actually, John, have gotten much better. They don't explode. It's not as much of a magnify as it is an actual projection of a said screen. So
Yeah.
they've gotten much better. But I'm not like focusing on the projection side. I'm just thinking like, you know, us with all technology, where are we going to be in 25 years? Because at the rate we're going, I can't
It's
wait. I mean, everything is going to be just
here's the
lights
thing.
out.
It could go one of two ways. I see it going one of two ways. It's either going to be like you're thinking where it's hyper realistic, 20K, you know, super high definition. You can see the individual hairs on someone from 20 feet away type screens. Or it's going to hit this incremental mark. Because one of the biggest factors right now is storage. Like, you could say, you can have an 8K TV, but streaming 8K video, I don't think there's many networks unless you have gigabit or fiber, you're not going to be able to do it.
And is that
Like,
you guys have kids? Is anybody else worried that the technology and the graphics are going to get so crystal clear and so amazing and so visually pleasing that I can't imagine trying to pull a kid outdoors to go look at nature? Look, there's a
no,
beautiful tree and a sunset and a sunrise, and it looks amazing. And they're like, "This is crap. This is not as good as what I
eh,
see on the TV."
no, because there's definitely a difference. Like, and I'll pull this from what's currently happening. My daughter is playing American Truck Simulator, which is exactly what it sounds like. And I would bet if I were to say, let's go out and look at the stars, she would say, absolutely.
I mean, that's all relative to the person, as
Yeah.
far as like from, I'm sure John, because he can't touch sunlight, he would much rather look at the sun through the frame of his monitor. But someone like you or me, we can go out in the sun. Doesn't hurt.
Burst into flames. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, he's a zombie. Never
Yeah, I was
mind.
gonna say that's
Wrong
vampire.
one.
So,
Okay.
so you just get instant skin cancer? Is that basically you're that pale? Like, oh my! I stepped. What happened? I stepped outside and I got melanoma just for a second.
Damn you, nature.
But
But
I,
no,
s-
I
I-
think that's all relative to the person. But I do think, like, just follow me on this, Kirk. So what if the experience got so real, like, let's say virtual reality and TVs and everything got so advanced that instead of having to spend $1,000 on a ticket to go up on a Blue Origin ship or a Starship, that you sit on your couch and you take the same adventure and it doesn't cost you anything.
See, I think then we venture into Idiocracy, the Mike Judge movie, where just people sit in a chair and just eat food and just watch porn. I think that's
well,
it. Because people become so sedentary, the thought of out inside is better, outside is bad. Why ever leave? Me stay inside. I think it's like we'd return to living in a cave.
now with electrolytes.
Yes, pronto.
Yeah,
I
exactly. Yeah, it's got electrolytes. Well, what do you,
and
John? What do you think?
I do agree with you that it is going to. And you know what? Since Chris brought up virtual reality, I see that being the next big thing because I don't know if either of you've actually played or done anything with virtual reality before, but it is crazy. And
Getting much better. It's come a long way from like Lawnmower Man, like that Stephen King movie. Like
well,
that's my reference for virtual reality.
like I have a Oculus, and one of the games I played is a hot dog horseshoes and hand grenades, which is it's basically a shooting gallery, and it is ridiculously fun, and when you're in it, realistic. Like most of VR is really good, but it's at the stage of like early 2000s TVs.
All it ever did was give me a headache.
Well, and that's part of the problem is because the resolution is so low per se that a lot of like when it was like with the Nintendo and its extremely low resolution attempt at VR way back in the day, as it gets more and more dense with pixels and makes things more fluid and whatnot, it will get better and better. And in for at least the TV talk, I could definitely see TVs being replaced with virtual reality, where you just throw on a headset and can watch a movie in, simulated 8K or 4K or whatever without, you know, actually having to have a TV.
Seems like people are watching less TV, like it's more on monitors and screens. So it seems like it would be an easier transition to like, look, okay, it's now instead of a tablet or your phone, now it's just goggles that are on your face.
Well,
It seems like that jump is coming.
well, and if you look at what they're doing with augmented reality, that's absolutely the step. You're going to put on glasses and you're going to be able to go into your, house and it's going to be connected to, maybe your main computer and you'll be able to sit at your desk with a keyboard and mouse and have virtual monitors that you're doing everything off of.
I
That
think the odd part, what the kids that won't have those glasses will be the nerds, so it'll be completely flipped.
I only have one question, John. What the hell are the seashells for?
Demolition Man? Is that what
Yeah.
you meant?
I was thinking when you were talking about that, I started thinking and I was like, what was that movie where they went to blah blah blah. Anyway, Demolition Man. That would be the only problem is you would have a number of people who were totally against it. Like if you had smart homes that were completely like linked in, you would have people like Kirk who are like, screw that. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm going to rebel against the
Well,
connectivity.
and yeah, that's going to happen with everything. That's going to happen with automation, or not automation, automatic or autonomous cars. There's always going to be a subset of people that are not going to want to adapt to the new way of things and are going to want to stay with what they're familiar with.
All the gearheads who work on their cars are not going to want a car that drives themselves. They like driving. There's going to be a sect of people, and maybe it's just they get phased out. You know what I mean? Like
and
if you get born and you don't know, like I said, if you've never worked on your own car, or you don't grow up that culture, you don't know any better. So just self-driving cars is the way to do it. I don't know anything else.
But you're right about being phased out. Let's take the self-driving car. If that starts becoming the norm, or especially electric cars, if electric cars start becoming the norm, gas prices are only going to shoot up because now you've got, a smaller and smaller and smaller group of people that need that gasoline, which means the gas stations aren't going to be as profitable as, say, charging stations.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
The demand for that is going to go down. So yes, for sure.
So, and it's going to turn into another thing where, the wealthy are able to keep on to their, expensive gasoline powered cars, but everyone else is going to be kind of forced to adopt into electric cars. And that's going to happen with, a lot of things.
Cars are for retired guys, and it's not like you're taking your 1950s Chevette or whatever your car is. You're not commuting to work or something. Like it's a retired person going on pleasure drives or just joy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
So you're not using it every day, stuck in an hour of rush hour. That you would use your Prius for that. That's what you use your electric car for.
And it's funny, John, because as we're talking, I'm laughing at myself because I'm thinking, I'm amazed at technology and where it's going. We could see electric cars predominantly.
Oh, it's absolutely going to happen.
Eventually, yes. Yeah, it's going to happen. But, all of these things that we're jumping into, and this may be something we can touch on, excuse me, for a later episode, but I'm actually somewhat against it, even though I love it and I like the technological advances that we're in. With that becomes security, connectivity issues. Like, I know that someone is listening to this podcast right now who is, figuring out a way to use this information to sell us something.
Says the person that got everyone for Christmas one year Alexas.
Well, that's why I'm laughing. Is because I hate it, right? Because it sometimes, like, I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen, but sometimes I'll feel like I was talking about something, like, oh, I could use a new toaster, and a day later I get an ad for a toaster that pops up in my
this has been thoroughly proven multiple times. Everything with a speaker is listening to you. Not necessarily to the extent of, conspiracy theorists that say, oh, it's recording everything to the cloud. Yeah, no, it's just picking up keywords.
And I know that, there's no way it could record you because there's not enough space in the cloud to record people 24/7.
No.
It's just not possible. And there's not enough man hours to be able to listen to all of that. But the thought that what drives me crazy is that someone, my phone could be listening to me say toaster, and then I get a ad for a toaster 2 hours later, and I'm going, well, that's a little bit shifty. I don't feel like they should know that.
Right. My cloud actually told me shut up. And it stopped listening to me. So I have the opposite problem.
And I would assume, I don't know for fact, but I would assume it's just, if you're having a casual conversation and say, what do you think about getting a new toaster? It's going to pick up on certain keywords. Like, it's only got a dictionary of X amount of words, and it's just listening for those keywords. And when it hears them, it's like, hey, he's looking for a new toaster. Send him ads.
Same thing, but it's the same thing too. Like, granted, people listening to your phone listening to you for keywords, that's invasive and wrong. But then,
yeah, but
how many times do you go, you look up, I want to buy a Fuzed Relativity Planet Cup, and then over the next 4 or 5 websites that you cruise through, you get ads for that Fuzed Relativity Planet Cup.
But
it's like, come on, guys.
And that's
just
yeah, I see what I completely agree, but it's also kind of the price we're paying for, well, not the price we're paying, the price we're having to pay for lax what would be the governance when
it would be regulation is
yeah.
the word you're thinking of.
When there's 4 corporations and everybody's relying on technology, it just seems like it's a byproduct. That's just what happens, because corporations are going to keep using their technology to make more money and to advertise.
Well,
so that's kind of the loop we're in.
Well,
So
but if you look
my point is if this is going to be the case and technology is going to advance to that high of a level, that might be the talking point, and we can touch on it later, is where does the regulation step in and say, look, these companies can't watch every single thing you do?
But the argument could be said that they're not. It could just be something, that they're just a little program that's listening for keywords and sending just those, a keyword or two, which technically isn't, invasive because you're agreeing to using the service. Because no one reads those agreement things, and guarantee you, somewhere in each one of those agreements is something about, hey, we're going to monitor, keywords to potentially sell you stuff. Because almost every company that has gotten big is now an advertising company.
Right. And I don't see any politician, anybody, our government doesn't work anyway. It doesn't work great. So, and the average politician is, in their 60s or 70s. So like, they don't even understand the technology. So
No,
relying on them to try to regulate it is not going to happen, especially when all of these giant corporations are giving them millions and billions of dollars. So I don't see any change coming anytime soon. It's going to get worse. It's not going to change. So just pick a different battle, because I think this is a losing one, Chris.
It was something that popped into my head when we were talking, because I'm like, with all this technology, a TV, a 27-inch black square TV from 1998 isn't picking up what you're talking about, at least as much as we know.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Because it wasn't connected to anything. There was unless, even if there was a microphone, you'd have to have a van sitting outside your house with, someone to pick up the transmission. So, it's all relative, but it just kind of unnerving a little bit, just because sometimes I think about how many people are monitoring everything that I say.
No one cares about what you say, Chris.
Except the listeners of the podcast. other than they're on the edge of their seat. Everybody else, not so much.
I'm guessing then it's even iffy, Kirk.
But that's the argument, is, like you said, if everything was being recorded, like, at all times, A, the amount of data, and B, the amount of time it would take to, there's 300 million people just in America alone, and if you whittle it down to adults, it's still, well over 200 million.
Right.
Which means that
who the hell are you? Why do you think you're that important?
And if you
just the numbers.
Yeah, and if you broke it down to, if their phone was recording them 24 hours a day, that's a billion plus hours of recording, it would take, even if every single person was listening to someone else's thing, it would still take everyone in America, 24 straight hours, which would be 2 days, with sleep and everything, to get through one other person's day of recording.
Even the algorithms would be bored.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not feasible. Like, sure, if you do something stupid and end up on some, watch list, yes, you might have a greater concern that people are potentially listening in on you. But for
my next trick is to start talking about random buzzwords. Like, what if I threw out the word Speedo a bunch of times just randomly in conversation?
Do it.
Just to see if my phone would then, or, even my Alexa devices would tell me, it's trying to start selling me a Speedo.
It would, you know what it would do? It would send you a bunch of electric razor shavers first because it knows you're a hairy son of a bitch. It doesn't want to see that.
But you better bet that if Alexa offers me a Speedo, how am I supposed to say no to that?
God, just please say no.
Yes.
I'm going to speak for Tiffany and everybody else with eyeballs.
That's what I was like. Sometimes you get lined up to coincidence. Other times you think that it's just a little too coincidental. If I start throwing out Speedo all over the place and then all of a sudden I start getting ads for Speedos, that's just a sign.
Keep us informed. Let us know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about this little experiment.
Oh, you'll get pictures.
No pictures. No pictures. No scratch and sniff. No nothing.
But anyway, it's just one of those, it's such an intriguing topic because of...
Well, and we barely scratched the surface. We talked about TVs.
I know. I kept us on TVs because I really love TVs. I have like 6 TVs, and I would buy more in a heartbeat. Everybody's got...
Now you're going to get a bunch of TV ads now because it heard it.
Well...
I mean, I'm assuming he already gets a ton of TV ads.
I do, because I search TVs a lot, so I get TV ads.
Well, there you go. Oh yeah, if you search it, then yes, you're going to get it.
But in computers, I mean, just the idea that, look at dial-up versus my Wi-Fi right now. I mean, it's such an amazing trek that we're on, and just the difference in 1940 versus 2021 is just such a leap. But it's a short amount of time in the grand scheme, which means 25 years could seem like 50 years worth of advancement.
It's making us old men before our time prematurely because it's advancing so fast that 10 years ago you're like, what? Hey, that used to be the fanciest thing, and like, oh, whatever, old man, that's now past it. That's way old technology.
And in fairness, you won't really understand this, but John, you'll back me up. I'm not good at video games anymore. I thought I used to be halfway decent, but my brain just can't keep up.
That's
too many buttons. There's too many damn buttons. It's getting so realistic. They don't even like video. It looks like a real virtual reality game with 18 buttons.
Well, so the other thing is you have to kind of... Gaming has gotten it's progressed probably just as fast as anything else, if not more so. Because
it's a young person game, right? It's for the quick hand-eye coordination, and that's what the young people have.
It's also for the people around our age that were playing games are still playing games. Like, Chris, not to knock you, but you kind of stuck in one genre and barely went outside of that. So
I got first-person shooters and sports games. That's it.
Yeah. So for people like me who play a variety of stuff, like, I still consider myself not great at most games, but I can do pretty well.
I tapped out at Sega Genesis. If that blows your mind, that's when I stopped.
John was pretty good at blowing me up with grenades on Halo. I mean,
Yeah, but in
so.
fairness, I haven't played. Well, I was gonna say I haven't played a first-person shooter. Never mind, because I played PUBG for a little bit there, but right when it first came out. But other than that, I really don't play first-person shooters outside of single-player ones. Like, I can't even tell you the last. Oh no, I played Far Cry. That was probably the last first-person shooter I played.
Well, John, it's getting to be that time, and we of course can talk about this. We'll have to extend this to another episode because I feel like it's a meaty topic that we can get. We can talk forever on this just between the three of us. But I say let's go over to Kirk's corner because I'm sure he's got something fun for us.
Let's check it out. Do we have? Is there anything?
Maybe.
Uh, what
Are
is
those are
that?
green? Is that Jello? What is the green Jello blocks?
If you remember, the UFO was absorbing the corn dogs last week.
Uh,
Oh, so that
is
was the
that
byproduct of the.
it's like Soylent Green.
And yeah,
Kirk,
those geese are creepy looking.
did you? There's more of them. They're reproducing.
There's a few hidden ones. Yes, and don't think too hard about the extremely large one.
No, I'm gonna have nightmares about it.
Did you see the one on the UFO and the one on your shelf, Kirk?
Oh, wow, there they are. Okay, I did not until you said that.
I'll give you a
Yes.
hint. There's a really small one too. It's by the Tinker Cat.
Oh, he's under the Tinker Cat. I see him.
Wow, it's like a highlights magazine. You're all hiding stuff now. All right. Why? Well, thanks. That I'm glad. It's nice. It's always cool that when there's new graphics to look at. It's nice to change it up, and the geese are multiplying, just like in Colorado. So yeah, you know what? This is Kirk's corner. It's more of just kind of brain bits. It's gonna be random. So I'm just gonna throw out a bunch of kind of random thoughts I've had. If any of them hit, just kind of stop me and kind of question me and go, "What the hell were you thinking on that one?" But so just here's some Kirk's random brain bits.
About
Okay.
that one.
How about the first one is American trucks have the highest percentage of testicular cancer. I don't know. Truck nuts. I don't think they sell that. All right. How about when you yield to a cow, you are giving her the Milky Way. All right. That's for all the farmers out there.
Uh-huh.
All right. How about come on, this is a baseball joke. Godzilla never visited Fenway. Okay, come on.
Green
Green.
Monster.
There you go. Green monster. All right. And I'm not sure about you guys, but sweatpants, I'm not a fan of either. Do
Sweat or pants.
I don't like neither one of them. I could do without. No sweat, no pants. Or how about this? I bet when soldiers stop wearing fatigues, they have a lot more energy. Has anybody else said that our military? It's they should change the name of that. It seems like if your work clothes are called fatigues, it seems kind of like a downer. I don't think you're going to be able to function at a high level. You're just going to be exhausted.
I mean, it's pretty solid.
All
Solid
right.
logic.
All right. How about did you guys know this before headphones? Rich people just jogged with a marching band. That's how they exercised. And speaking of marching, the Civil War ended 150 years ago, but we still have U.S. troops stationed here. I think it's time. That's way too long. I mean, come on, guys. Or what else? Today I was walking and I heard a motorcycle drive by blasting the cars. It was odd. It just seems silly. And speaking of car, somebody keytarred my car. They keytarred my car. I've got to stop parking in nerdy neighborhoods. That's what I learned. All right, two more. Two more. I gave a girl when I was young. I gave a girl a mixed tapeworm. We did not date. Okay, and then the last one. You know what I'd like to see? You guys grew up on a farm. I would like to see a horse in flip flops. The sound alone would be hilarious. I'm picture flip flop, clip clop, flip flop, clip clop.
I'd probably pay to see that.
Wouldn't you? Come on. If you saw, it seems like if you always make him wear horseshoes, you think he'd let him relax and have flip flops. Let him kick back and be more comfortable. Birkenstocks. They live with hippies anyway, right? Okay, so those were 11 random bits. Anyone stick out, create a conversation piece? Any yays, nays?
I like the U.S. troops one. That one was funny.
I would agree.
Oh, for the Civil War? Yeah, there's
that one was good.
Yeah, it's a little history joke, and it's like, yeah, that's a good. Wait a second, we're still here. I mean, we have troops in Germany, we have troops in there. We still have U.S. troops in the Civil War.
Kirk, I'm always amazed at what your brain comes up with. I really am.
Wow, you know what? Coming from you, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I can't tell.
No, it was a compliment because I mean, just the adventure you just took us on. I wouldn't have come up with that. It was good.
See, and like I'm job hunting, so I don't know how to put that on a resume. I can come up with a very clever Civil War joke. I'm not sure that helps your company out, but I can do that.
Hire me anyway.
Right, I'm getting closer. That's another teaser. I think I might be getting close to a working as at Sprouts, but I'll keep you informed to what the next job will be, and then I'm sure it'll create new material, and maybe I'll get healthier. Who knows?
Just as long as you don't work on Saturdays at 9 p.m.
Do you know that's already the availability? Not Saturday. I have to entertain America. That's what I told
Correct.
them. Not all America is listening, but they can. They should. That's this is. I'm sure we're up to how much, John? How are we up to 3 million average viewers now? Is what I heard.
If
Just
only.
exaggerate, John. Just
Yeah.
Give,
Just a million.
give or
Yeah,
take 3 million.
let's not inflate our egos here. It's only a million.
All right. So we're rounding down. Okay.
Yeah. Rule of threes, Kirk.
All right. So what's next? Is it time for off topic?
I believe so. We will jump over to some. Oh, and John didn't mess up the transition. Nice.
Well, yeah, there we go. I was about to if I hadn't screwed up, and I did leave it on.
Off topic. We are headed there. Kirk, I believe you have some pretty good off topic for us this week.
Yes. Okay. So this was the big story I saw. There is a company came out with mac and cheese flavored ice cream. Did you guys see this? Did you see the pictures?
That sounds amazing.
Okay, so you're for it. See,
It
because
looks
to me,
disgusting.
I ran it. I ran it by Delilah. I go, "Would you like mac and cheese ice cream?" And she told me she's 2.5, and she said, "Grow up." So even the 2.5-year-old thought it was a dumb idea. Just first, I mean, I'm not lactose intolerant, but my body would still reject this. I'm pretty sure, just on principle alone. And I just don't. I mean, you scream, I scream. We all scream at the inventor of this horrible idea. Just because to me, it's perfect for people who want an ice cream headache, diabetes, and constipation all at the same time.
Well, look, here's my thought. It's like, have you ever tried bacon ice cream?
No, I've had bacon dipped in chocolate at the fair. That's the closest I've had, but I've not had bacon ice cream.
So bacon ice cream is basically just bacon in vanilla ice cream, and it is fantastic. Okay, it's salty, the bacon, which counteracts the sweetness of the ice cream. It's really good. Uh, but there's got to be a line, right? Like people are putting bacon in almost everything, which
Well,
normally I'm a fan of, but you can only put bacon in, don't put bacon into
you're 10 years behind the curve on that one.
Well, I'm not. No, I'm just saying bacon isn't everything, and bacon's delicious. Mac and cheese is delicious by itself. I feel like that's one that doesn't belong in ice cream.
That's
Eh.
my thing. I ate way too much mac and cheese in college, so I have a aversion to mac and cheese already. So like that's just me. Like some people overdosed on ramen, I overdosed on mac and cheese. But yeah, just to me, it doesn't go with ice cream, and that just may be an old fuddy duddy. But I'm sure some young kid will like it. But it seems gross. I'm not. You could pay me $20 and I still won't try this.
Oh, I
But
absolutely would.
how about 40, Kirk? I tried
No,
it.
I don't think.
I'm gonna buy you some of this ice cream, and you're gonna try it on the podcast. I ate a disgusting vegetarian beet hot dog, corn dog. I'm buying you mac and cheese ice cream. You're trying it. Done.
Uh, yeah, if you can
Uh,
find it.
you know what? I think most of it will go to Shoop by accident. Wink, wink.
And if I can't find it, John, I will just pour a bunch of mac and cheese and ice cream
See,
together, freeze it,
that's
and
not
then
the
give it to
same.
Kirk.
And
I
that
know.
I think in Wisconsin, the official state drink has become the mac and cheese milkshake. Which how about that? What do you think about that mac and cheese milkshake?
Also gross.
Yes, disgusting. Sprinkled breadcrumbs on top of it. It's not ice. I don't know. It's like to me when you were young, you had to finish your mac and cheese to get the ice cream. You didn't put them together.
Hold on.
Well,
Oh no,
hold on.
Keith. I was gonna
Okay.
ask I was gonna poll my kids to see if they would eat this.
Well, the kids will eat anything. That doesn't count. That's
Do 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 do.
but
One yes, one no.
boom, boom. All right. Well, one of your kids is right, and the other one is wrong.
All right. Well, the kids have voted 50-50, and our poll here at Fused Relativity is 2/3. Uh, Me and Kirk say no. John says
Right.
yes.
And
And
if you do, I will try it if you did it, but I will. I can't imagine liking it. But
I I've
I will
signed
for the podcast. I will eat it only for the podcast.
I've signed up for the waiting list to see if I can order some when it comes available.
You're on a waiting list for it.
Yeah, I put the link in chat, but yeah.
all right. So we'll be on a waiting list. We'll have to find a way to get that to Kirk, maybe some dry ice, and let him try it out, see what he thinks.
Mmm. I can't wait.
Maybe if you put some bacon in it, it'll be better.
My arteries are clogging just hearing that. All the cheese and the oh.
So, John, switching off topics. The
Um,
first,
I have one this week, surprisingly.
hey, well, I'm gonna let you finish it out because I'm gonna tell you mine. It is the first ever 3D printed steel bridge opened in Amsterdam, and it was a 4-year long project in which they used essentially robotic arms with welders to make the stainless steel bridge, and it's pretty cool. I forgot to send you the picture of it. It's a real, whirly, artistic looking bridge. Uh, but it's kind of cool. 3D printed bridge. It took long, like 4 years is a long time for that to take effect, but still pretty cool.
And I'm putting the link in chat for anyone that wants to take a look at it. Yeah, it's a very interesting looking bridge.
I think
These-
it took 4 years because the guys that made it were just so high because it was Amsterdam.
it was robots.
It took
So
it took even they got the they got the robot stone. So like, dude, it should have taken 6 months, but 4 years. But it was worth it.
Well, now they're gonna spend the next. Let's see. They're gonna spend the next probably about year just testing its capacity and how it does with people walking over it all the time, just to see what the uh, how
Right.
it
It,
does.
it, it can support 40 Europeans or 4 fat American tourists. That's what I've heard.
Woo, that's not right.
So, it was a cool idea. Just something different. A 3D printed bridge. Look where we're going.
Th-
Technology.
Yeah, they can print houses, they can print bridges, they can print little things to have wasp lives in them. So they can do anything.
That's right. Little can do attitude.
Yeah.
And now, John, you are up since we're watching you do your
Well,
OBS.
I was messing around. I was trying to pull up a picture of the bridge, but it's not cooperating. So my off topic was there is a Finnish company, or Finnish group that is launching a plywood satellite.
I saw that.
So it is. So basically, just the outer shell is made of. I think they use birch. Everything else is 3D printed metal or uh, just um, computer components.
When I came across that story, I was kind of surprised by it because my question immediately was, how's that going to handle a space rock hitting it at 17,000 miles an hour?
Probably as well as a regular CubeSat would handle being hit by a space rock.
Yeah, and isn't plywood be pretty flammable? I mean, like that was my first thought. Like, I don't know. You
Well,
always
that's the
see things
point.
of it coming back into re-entry and it just,
Well,
it seems like it just bursts into flame.
that's kind of the point. Is it would potentially minimize the amount of, and see, that's where I kind of disagree with the thought of it, because it's just a CubeSat, so it's only supposed to be up in space for a little bit, and when they re-enter, those things are so tiny anyway. Even if it was a metal, well, if it was a metal cube, it might survive re-entry, but the thin little aluminum they put on those CubeSats is just going to melt away. Same with the wood. It's I would assume it's more for publicity, like, hey, we're launching the first ever technically wooden satellite, even though it's not wood. It's just got a wood shell. I mean, it's only 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters, so it's tiny in.
To me, it just doesn't seem like it's a very. I mean, I saw it. I thought I got the idea of it, but in the long run, I'm just like, it's kind of a lame story.
It
Yeah,
seems like a publicity thing to try to like all the guys who aren't crazy about technology but like to make birdhouses. They're like, "Oh, plywood, I'm interested." You know what I mean? It's like when the NFL tries to have pink stuff or Taylor Swift sing songs. It's like they're trying to rope in new fans.
well, yeah, I'm assuming that's what it is, because it just doesn't seem like it would be beneficial at all over just an aluminum siding or frame, not frame, shell.
Yeah, no, most people like we're the technological advances. Usually the answer isn't plywood.
I feel like
Well,
they're trying to build very slowly, just build like a pirate ship in space. So there's some space pirates going on.
I'm down for that. But I was gonna say, for some reason, whenever technology starts leaping forward, we always have something that goes back to wood, like the spruce goose. Remember
You got to
that?
go. You got to go retro. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the plane that was made out of wood for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it
No.
was a publicity stunt as well, and only flew once, but you know,
But yeah, see, there's always that group that wants to go retro and go backwards, but then everybody else is just like, why would we do that? This is so much better.
yeah.
If you follow the credo of new is always better, sometimes it works. But anyway, well, we're super long this week, which I kind of assumed we would be. Um, but like I said, we discussed it and we've been getting on a roll these last couple episodes. and having a lot of fun with these topics that we're coming up with. So, you know what? I'm okay with it. I like going a little bit long. If we have to talk a little more, that's cool. Uh,
Interesting topic. We can be chatty Cathy's.
that's right. And any chance I get to throw a joke at John or Kirk or vice versa, that's always fun too. But I do have to get to the baby, so I am going to close out the episode there. And for Chris, John, and Kirk, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. Episode 20. Next week, our podcast will be old enough to drink. How about that?
We'll have a DD.
I was gonna say we should celebrate. I think I will.
Okay, yeah. Next week, we'll see how many shotgun beers we can do before the end of the episode.
Beers. Be a man.
Okay.
Whiskey.
Okay, we will line up shots of whiskey.
No,
We will
no.
we will shotgun whiskey. Oh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
25 minutes in, there would just be silence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know me, and just a fist fight. All just punching our monitors.
I quit. This podcast is stupid.
Yeah, you don't know me. We're going to Jack in the Box. Shut up. I'm leaving. And that's the end.
Anyway, hopefully we'll have something good for next week, and we might tie some fun drinking game in, just, if we can. So, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and we hope to see you here next week.